15th episode of Zooming In with Gen Z. I'm your host, Haley Taylor Slitz. Thanks for being here. Before we get started, I would like to remind you all to please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe. Not only does this help you stay up on our fantastic conversations, but it allows the algorithm to do its thing so others can tune in too. If you're Gen Z, stop scrolling. You need to hear this news. Instagram desktop version. Let's start this off light. I am excited to announce this via a quote from Gizmodo. Instagram users everywhere rejoice. I know I am. The social network is finally allowing folks to post photos and videos through a browser rather than relying on the phone app. The feature will launch globally later this week. Posting from the desktop has been one of Instagram's most often requested features. Some of us, myself included, have gone to great lengths to post directly to the platform from the computer. I've tried using the Android version on Chrome OS. I've even tried emulating it through BlueStacks or Windows. But this official method of posting from a browser will be much more streamlined than those third-party solutions. How exciting and convenient! I was reading the story and was waiting for BlueStacks to be mentioned. I have definitely used that one before. Are you guys excited about this update? Will you use it? You have to let us know in the comments. Amazon plus Starbucks. I just have to jump right into this one. Hear this quote from the insider. Amazon held talks with Starbucks to put its cashierless Go stores in a new co-branded coffee shop as part of an effort to expand the Just Walk Out technology found in those stores, Insider has learned. The project, internally codenamed Verde, was designed to build a lounge-style cafe that offers both Starbucks' craft beverages and Amazon's assortments of baked goods and hot foods, without the hassle of having to wait in line to check out, according to Amazon's internal document obtained by Insider. The initial layout of the store shows Amazon Go's food section with a cafe, which has a lounge seating. Customers would have to use separate apps to pay for Starbucks app for drinks and Amazon's app for food, though the companies eventually want to build an integrated solution. The store was expected to have a newly created brand. Is it just me, or does this sound like heaven? My wallet is definitely crying at the thought. Hunters and showers. The title may be confusing, but this CNN quote is here to help. October's full moon, the hunter's moon, and Orionid meteor shower are on this week's celestial forecast, but you might only be able to catch one of them. The hunter's moon will be fullest at 10:58 a.m. ET on October 20th and 99% full during the evenings of October 19th and 20th, according to Earth Sky. The full moon coincides with the peak of the Orion meteor shower on the morning of October 21st. Because the best viewing conditions for meteor showers are dark skies, the full moon will significantly reduce the visibility of the meteor shower by about 75%, according to American Meteor Society advisor Robert Lunsford. I think the name of the meteor shower is going to be my word challenge of the year. Raise your hand if you stood outside and stared at the sky from around 10:55 until 11 EST. Let me know in the comments if you caught the hunter and the shower and what you thought if you did. We now have with us a student leader from the one and only Southlake. She uses her voice to spread the message of how important it is to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in school. These students know it and fight for change. Thank you, Alia, for joining us today. Virtual stage time. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited for this conversation. Like I said, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we will jump right in because this is a very important conversation. And I know the whole nation has been following what's been going on in South Lake Carroll ISD. I was hoping you could take a moment to share with us how the community got to this point. Like, when did this really start?
So I feel like these issues have been prevalent in South Lake for a really long time, but it definitely took a turn when the group of students released a video on Snapchat of them chanting racial slurs, and from that point on, South was constantly in the news, and we haven't really made that much progress from that point.
Awesome. That's terrible. Was there like a specific student issue that got both of you, like you and your friends and any other student activists on campus involved? Was it that event? Was there something else, or have you always been interested and passionate about being a student activist?
I think so. I moved to Southlake in around 8th grade, which was a year before that video happened. And I was seeing all sorts of issues in Southlake that didn't necessarily happen at my old school. So for me, it was definitely that culture change and wanting to create a more inclusive environment for everybody in Southlake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And I'm wondering, like, on that, at your school, do you feel as if other students have been receiving your message, understanding it, and like getting angry and active like you and your peers are, who are other student activists? Like, do you feel your message is really received with your peers?
I feel like a lot of students definitely resonate with our message, and especially with all of the testimonies that have come in over the last year or so. And I do feel like we are all coming together to make a change.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good news. That's great. Yeah. Do you feel as if your teachers have been supportive? Like on another hand, I know a couple other student activists I've talked to, they have a lot of peer support, even a lot of community support, but the teachers, they're like, if I see you or hear you doing this, completely shut down. So have your teachers been supportive or silent or against it?
I feel like for me personally, my teachers have been very supportive. I can't speak for everyone, obviously, and I know every teacher is different, but personally, I've had a really good experience.
That's really good. That's really comforting, I think, to students who may be a little apprehensive.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I mentioned like just very briefly about like the community, but I'm wondering, has like the faculty, school, all of that, your peers, but your community in general, how have they responded to this, to what's going on in Southlake and you guys as activism as students? Like, have you seen support by school, just school peers, board members, other school faculty, parents, other Gen Zers that maybe aren't going to Southlake? I know you said that this is like a thing that Southlake has been struggling with as a whole for a while. Have you seen like communal support?
I think definitely from alumni and a lot of parents. There's been a lot of support. There's a couple parent-led organizations that are very supportive and very focused towards making positive changes in Southlake. We have definitely faced a lot of oppositions, but there's a lot of people on our side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good to hear. And I think for our Gen Z viewers who are listening, it's really important to, ask these questions and hear these answers, because there are a lot of students who I know are just as angry and passionate as, the student activists that we see, the ones that we've talked to and the ones that haven't, been on this show, but we still hear about. And I think there are a lot of Gen Zers who might be apprehensive to speak up because of teacher, like reprimanding, communal, like just frowning upon their peers, like isolating. So I think that's really comforting to hear for our Gen Z viewers. Definitely get angry and motivated and speak up and speak out, because you'll have support from other communities, from other Gen Zers.
There will always be a support system for you.
Exactly. And so, like, it's kind of like, on the topic, when I was 12, my family took a trip to Amsterdam and we visited the Anne Frank House and Museum. And I was moved by what I saw when I was in the museum, just knowing what happened, during the Holocaust in general. And I was so upset when I saw the news on Southlake, the city right next to where I live, this week. When you heard about the news regarding the direction from Southlake Carolinas, the administrators to teachers, on having to have opposing views, materials in their classroom on subjects like the Holocaust, what did you initially think? What was your first thought and first, reaction, I guess?
Yeah, so I was actually at work when I saw that. I was horrified, honestly. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I knew that there were some issues and there were some things going on, but that was completely unprecedented to me. I was just blown away by the ignorance and the audacity to do something like that.
Yeah, I hear a term that's used a lot. It's the Caucasy, like Caucasian. So it just felt very appropriate, because that's typically
Definitely.
who is, yeah. So the audacity, I second that. For Generation Z, I know the target of the show and the audience, human rights, cannot read, like the Holocaust and other acts of genocide were always viewed in the confines of our history classes. In most cases, it's presented and received as a horrible act that in no way could possibly happen today. And the same with burning books, slavery, denying women equal rights, and other acts of genocide. Why is it important for Generation Z to understand the historical importance of these events? Like I said, it's confined in the history classroom, and we see all the black and white pictures like it's so long ago. Like how can Gen Z understand this weight? Like, why is that important?
I think that it's so important because we need to understand why those things happened and how they were able to come about, and in order to understand what's going on now and what our future could look like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people, like when we're talking about, book banning, we talked about that on my last episode. And it's like we were talking about how on one hand, you can't get rid of the history of the nation. The internet lives forever, information lives forever. But on the other hand, like you said, it's so important to be able to learn from where you came from to grow and move forward and, positive growth and make positive change. So, I exactly second what you said. It's so important for our Gen Z viewers to understand the weight of this historical event and understand what it meant, what really happened, and make sure that it's taught and the importance of it being taught. So that way, we can learn from it, grow from it, and make sure that we never forget, because that's not something that should be forgotten. So I second all of that. Like I said, circling back to Gen Zers, what advice would you give to other Gen Zers who want to get active, but like we were talking about earlier, feel like they can't, whether it be because of the response they're afraid of getting or because they don't even know where to start?
I think the best place to start is to find groups of your peers, or even make groups with your friends who are also passionate about the same things, because I've been doing student activism for a really long time, and I've found that the best and easiest way to get involved is to do it with other people, so that you're not getting burned out and you're not facing any repercussions on your own, and you have that support system with you.
Absolutely. Definitely building your village. It kind of mitigates the fear. I definitely agree. I hope that our Gen Zers heard that. You'll like we said earlier, there's always support out there. If you just build it and collect it, it'll feel like a safe space. I like it. So as usual in all of our shows, and I acknowledge it, but I also want to ask for a shout out. It's scrolling at the bottom, but where can our viewers find you and support you and your other, student activist peers and, just this whole movement all together? You guys have social media or a website? Are there meetings or events that they could go to or books they could donate? Like, shout out time.
Yes. So I'm a part of the South Lake Anti-Racism Coalition, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at South Lake Arc, and Facebook at official South Lake Arc, like you see at the bottom.
Yeah.
And we do have a Tumblr page coming out, also South Lake Arc. That's in the works, which is very exciting.
Yeah, that is very exciting. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes out for that one.
All right.
Yeah, definitely something that I hope our viewers are taking notes on. I always say that, but definitely write these down, remember them, and keep your eye out for that Tumblr page. I know I'm going to. But yeah, no, this is such an important conversation, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today and having this, important, just discussion on this very important issue. Your work is amazing. The message is needed, and all of your efforts are very meaningful. And I know that me and the audience cannot wait to see how you speak up and speak out and, inspire and ignite a flame in other people. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This was a really great experience.
Absolutely. Thank you. as usual, we will close out our show with a segment called Zooming In. Let's take a look at who's being magnified for being magnificent. The ACLU of Oklahoma. Here's this quote from Yahoo News. American Civil Liberties Union and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under Law argues that HB 1775, which took effect in May, violates students and teachers' free speech rights and denies people of color, LGBTQ students, and girls the chance to learn their history. The Oklahoma law bans teaching that anyone is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, whether consciously or unconsciously, or that they should feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress because of their race or sex. Under rules imposed by the state, teachers or administrators found in violation of the law can lose their license, and schools can lose their accreditation. This is so important. This whole episode, we have discussed how important it is to teach the truth and allow the discussion of and education from factual history. One state at a time if we must. No state should be able to throw all of the mistakes of our country under the abused label of critical race theory and think that they can paint a picture of perfection. America has its angels and hero stories, but it also has its demons and horror stories. For us as a country to not only not ignore, but to hide and lie about our demons and horror stories to make ourselves look and feel better is awful. It is important to learn from our mistakes and hold America accountable by educating our youth on what can never happen again. Thank you, ACLU and ACLU of Oklahoma, for fighting for this, one state at a time. Your Zoom call to action, you may be wondering? Firstly, find ways to support the ACLU as it works for all of our futures. Follow, like, and share on social media, reshare news stories, maybe even donate or volunteer. Government won't change unless we change who is in the positions of power, whether it be the writers or the enforcers. Use your vote, yes, like we always say, but hold your policymakers accountable too. Help the ACLU hold our policymakers and government accountable. We can't just sit and watch. We have to support those who are acting, encourage others to act, and take action ourselves. Secondly, support the student leaders we talk to during our interview time. Follow them on social media, amplify their voices, and spread their message. You can also go directly to them and speak at school board meetings, for example, because this is very, very important. Wow, how fun was that? This was a really good episode, but on the other hand, and also very important and deep and meaningful episode. The best kind of episode. That's all, folks. Episode 15 of Zooming In with Gen Z is all wrapped up. Thanks so much for joining us today. Please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe for more. Plus, when you do that, it allows others to check out our conversations too. In 2 weeks, we'll be back here at 2 p.m. Central Time with some important news and an important person. An easy way to remember it is 2 twice. 2 weeks, 2 p.m. Central Time. A shout out of thanks to Citizen Ed for providing us with this platform to talk about the issues we care about. See you guys in 2 weeks. All right. How do I zoom out on